Hello, my name is Jimmy Means, driver of the Alka-Seltzer Pontiac. The makers of Alka-Seltzer and I are very excited to bring you these exclusive video highlights of 1990 NASCAR season. You'll see action-packed footage from the past Winston Cup season. So sit back and enjoy the highlights of the 1990 NASCAR racing season.
Hi everyone, I'm Bob Jenkins, welcoming you to ESPN's Thunder and Thrills of 1990. In the next few minutes, we'll take a look at some of the most memorable moments of ESPN's 1990 Winston Cup season. It was a season marked by record finishes, record earnings, some new faces in victory lane, and a crash at Daytona no one will ever forget. Then there was the battle for the championship between Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt that would not be decided until the final laps at Atlanta. Let's get started by taking a look at some of the finishes from the 1990 season that have made Winston Cup racing famous. At the Valleydale 500 at Bristol in April, the leaders pitted on lap 391 during the 13th caution of the day. Davey Allison, who hadn't led all day, decided to stay on the track to gain track position.
Now here's Marlin getting a little bit sideways again and run looking, but no, the white flag is out. One more lap to go. Let's see what happens on the last lap. Again, it is Davey Allison.
Oh, Sterling
Marlin spins off of corner number 2. Sterling Marlin spins down the backstretch. Here comes Mark Martin trying to make a move off of corner number 4. It's a drag race.
Wow.
I don't know. A photo finish. I think Davey Allison won, but I wouldn't say for sure.
I agree. I think he had him by about 3 or 4 inches, but I mean, wait a minute. Why are those guys jumping up and down, though? They don't know they won.
That had to be one of the closest, if not the closest finish in NASCAR Winston Cup history.
After looking at the finish on NASCAR's photo finish camera, it was determined that Davey Allison had to win by just 8 inches over Mark Martin. Just a week earlier, Martin was edged by Dale Earnhardt by 1/4 of a second at the Trans-South 500 at Darlington International Raceway.
He keeps the advantage over Mark Martin, about 2.5, maybe 3 car lengths down the backstretch. There's now just 1/2 lap to go. Mark Martin trying everything he can to pull off a victory here this afternoon, but it looks as if he's going to come up short. Here comes Dale Earnhardt down off the banking. On the main straightaway, Dale Earnhardt wins the Trans-South 500.
In May at Talladega, Earnhardt capped a dominating performance with a 2-car length win over Greg Sachs.
White flag for the last time. Harold Kinder is going to wave the white flag on a Winston Cup stock car race.
Here it is. One more lap to go. Will it be Earnhardt or will it be Greg Sachs? Let's follow them around and see what happens.
Earnhardt keeps a rod down on the bottom of the racetrack. Sachs backed up to get a good run off the second corner, Ned. Yep, didn't back up too much. I think he did because Earnhardt saw that move. Look, Earnhardt all the way down, almost in the grass. Drafted Bill Elliott just to get a little bit of help there.
Don't think Greg Sachs is going to be able to do it. He does close in just a little bit and comes within a car length.
It's a long way from the 4th turn down to the start-finish line, though.
It is a long way. Here we are. They come out of the 33 degrees of banking onto the tri-oval, banked at 18 degrees. Still, Greg Sachs runs behind Dale Earnhardt. Sachs looks to the inside. Is he going to be able to do it? He now looks to the outside. They cross the line. No, it's Dale Earnhardt winning the Winston 500, and Greg Sachs with a beautiful battle in second position.
At the small half-mile racetrack in Martinsville, Virginia, in September, the question was, would any leader make it to the finish? Teammates Ken Schrader in number 25 and Ricky Rudd in number 5 were battling for the lead. Coming off of turn number 2, the two tangled and crashed hard into the pit wall. Neither driver was injured in the crash. However, both cars were finished for the day. And they weren't the only leaders to spin at Martinsville.
There's Jeff Bodine on the inside of Labonte going down in turn. Some contact, and Labonte is going to spin right in front of the leader. And Bodine is going to spin as well.
Bodine, the Chemung, New York driver, recovered from his spin to record a sweep of both races in 1990 at the tightest track in the Winston Cup Series. He would also add a victory at Pocono for legendary car owner Junior Johnson. The Peak Antifreeze 500 found close battling all race long here between Martin and Dale Earnhardt. But Bill Elliott stretched his fuel mileage and picked up his only win of the 1990 season. It had been a year since a driver had won from the pole position in a Winston Cup race, and Kyle Petty had never won a pole position in his career.
Kyle Petty now is between turns 3 and 4, playing it very conservatively, dropping the car to the low side of the racetrack. Off corner number 4, the checkered flag waves, and Kyle Petty has won the Goodrich 500 at Rockingham and picks up the $228,000 in Unical bonus money.
The Unical bonus and the regular winner's purse brought his payday to nearly $300,000. Dale Earnhardt's late father, Ralph, a NASCAR sportsman champion in the 50s, had been inducted into the National Motorsports Press Association Hall of Fame on the evening prior to the Heinz Southern 500 at Darlington. And Dale wanted to win one for his dad. In addition to sentimental reasons, Dale was one of 3 drivers who were eligible for a $100,000 bonus from R.J. Reynolds' Winston Million program. Dale blistered the competition, and he went on to win his 3rd race in a row at Darlington. And his payday amounted to over $200,000. While Earnhardt upped his career win total to 48 by season's end, there were 3 drivers that earned their first Winston Cup win in the 1990 season.
You know, it's a shame that this couldn't have been a week ago for Derry Cope. Had he won last week in Charlotte, he would have been 2/3 of the way toward the Winston Million. It didn't happen, but Sure is running well here this afternoon and trying to make a bid for the lead.
Right on the bumper of that Miller Genuine Draft
There
right
it
here
is.
on the inside.
He's got him. Derry Cope just drives around Rusty Wallace on the inside, and Derry Cope leads the Budweiser 500. Derry Cope is going to win his second Winston Cup race of 1990 and the second of his career. Cope off the fourth corner. Here's the checkered flag, and Derry Cope wins the Budweiser 500. White flag is out. One more lap to go for Brett Bodine. But here comes Darrell Waltrip. He is charging. He has passed Terry Labonte and now has clear racetrack between himself and Bodine. There's the separation between the two. Can Brett Bodine hold on for his first Winston Cup win? Here he comes off the fourth corner. He's going to do it. Brett Bodine wins the first Union 400.
Ernie Irvan started the season with the Junie Donlevy team, but he found himself going the wrong way. In the fourth race of the season, he picked up the number 4, Kodak Morgan McClure ride.
Well, here comes Ernie Irvan making a bid for second place. He goes to the inside of Bodine. They touch coming up the corner. Irvan's going to lose it right here on the main straightaway. Irvan spins down the front stretch, and I don't think he's going to hit a thing.
Not yet anyway.
And he saves it.
Oh, he's loose again and
Here
taking
we
trouble
go.
with him.
Bodine's going to be involved, I believe. Several cars are going to get tangled up in this mess. The track is going to be completely blocked. And so did Earnhardt. Earnhardt got through unscathed, I believe, but we have a mess down off of corner number 4. He and Jeff Bodine move side by side into first and second turns. Jeff Bodine hangs on, and Ernie Irvan is going to spin down the backstretch.
And he spins to the inside of the racetrack. Let's see, is the caution coming out? Not yet, because he's going.
But by August, the team had started to gel. And in the series' only night race at his team's home track in Bristol, Tennessee, Ernie Irvan was driving like nothing would stand in his way.
Here comes Irvan off the corner, completing lap number 498. 2 laps to go. Rusty Wallace looks inside. No, we can't make the pass. Will Ernie Irvan hold on for his first Winston Cup victory?
He's coming down for the white flag.
One more lap to go on this .533 track. There's the white flag from Doyle Ford. One more lap to go. Let's watch this final lap and see if Ernie Irvan can hold off the challenge of defending Winston Cup champion Rusty Wallace, who won his first race here at Bristol. Ernie Irvan, it appears, is going to. Here he is off the fourth corner. Yes, Ernie Irvan wins the Busch 500.
Look at this group.
While the night race at Bristol always provides some fireworks, it was nothing to compare with the opening lap at Daytona in the Pepsi 400.
Look at Richard Petty coming up on the inside. Come on, King. What are you doing down there?
He's showing muscle early in the race. On the first lap, he goes 3 wide into turn number 3 with Greg Sykes in the middle and Derek Pope on the outside. And here we go into the fourth corner now.
Boy, somebody's got to give there.
3 abreast racing. Look at this. Coming out of corner number 4, they touch. All 3 cars are touching as they come down through the tri-oval, but everybody maintains position.
Wow.
Oh no, Sykes is in trouble.
And takes Petty with him.
And we're going to have a terrific crash here as nearly all the field is going to be involved in this crash. There are only about 10 or 12 cars that survive this melee just past the starting line.
When you have cars that near to the front get in trouble on the front straightaway, they take up the racetrack, and practically everybody got involved.
With more than half the field involved, it was one of the biggest crashes ever for the Winston Cup Series. There were a lot of damaged race cars, but no driver injuries. For every car involved, there was a different explanation of exactly what happened. Our ESPN in-car cameras give you a feel of what it's like to crash at over 190 miles an hour. While the crash at Daytona was the biggest, there was a crash at Bristol in a Busch Grand National event that was the most violent.
Watch the left side of your screen as Michael Waltrip's car hits the end of a cement wall, part of a gate through which passenger cars go to the infield. The car disintegrates upon impact. Somewhere in the debris and the rubble sits Michael Waltrip. The crowd is hushed. Rescuers rush to the car, fearing the worst, that Michael is seriously, if not fatally, injured. They begin to pull away what was the bodywork of the Pontiac Grand Prix. Personally, I was certain that no one could have survived such a horrifying crash as this. Among those concerned, Michael Waltrip's older brother, a race driver himself, Darrell.
I was standing looking right at it, and I couldn't move. I mean, I just froze. I never seen anything like that in my life. The car just disintegrated, and I knew he was in it. Now, I thought he was hurt. I walked up there, and the car is gone. Everything's gone, and The roll cage is all bowed up. I looked at him, he looked up at me and winked. So, Mom, Dad, he's a Waltrip. He's got a pretty hard head.
Remarkably, Michael walked away ready to race the next day in the Winston Cup event. The 1989 Rookie of the Year, Dick Trickle, gave us a driver's eye view of this crash at Rockingham. Bristol always has some of the best short track bump and run action.
And here, meanwhile, is Rusty Wallace and Ricky Rudd, just like they were last year, with about 4 laps to go in the same corner. Rusty thinks twice about getting to the outside. Oh, and they touch again. Oh!
Crashes are a part of racing, but in the following incidents, there will be no driver injuries. Kyle Petty's in-car camera shows the quick decisions that have to be made when an accident happens in front of you, right or wrong. This incident involved Dale Jarrett at Martinsville. We take a ride with Dick Trickle on the tight half mile at Martinsville.
see how much he's turning the steering wheel?
Oh, that's a great shot.
Is that fantastic?
That is something.
Now you'll know when he comes to the tight corners because he'll really climb on the brakes. There's one of them.
A little bit of heel and toe, give you some gas in between the shifts to keep the engine RPM the same as the rear wheel.
You can see the quick shifts that he makes. Talk about speed shifting.
But he's using the clutch to upshift. Most of the guys do not use a clutch.
That's with the Jericho transmissions. They can do it without using the clutch.
Just gently tapping the brakes there occasionally.
And we can see the steering wheel going around.
Yep.
Right behind the brake pedal.
There's another tight turn. Notice him, he pumps the brakes, Benny.
That's right, because he needs to get the brake pedal up to full to pump of the pedal to do the heel and toe the way he wants to do it.
Once again, riding with Dick Trickle, following closely Ernie Irvin, and on the right, Darrell Waltrip. The battle for the 1990 Winston Cup was one of the tightest in series history. Three-time series champ Dale Earnhardt grabbed the points lead in the season's second race and held it until a broken camshaft at Dover put Morgan Shepherd in the points lead for the first time in his career. Shepherd had his streak of 11 consecutive top 10 finishes broken at Sears Point. And Mark Martin took the points lead for the first time in his career. It was a lead that Martin would hold on tenaciously. Through the next 15 races, he would pick up his third and fourth career wins. At Michigan in August, he dominated, earning 5 bonus points for leading most laps at an event for the first time ever. Martin used pit strategy to pull off another win in October at North Wilkesboro over his rival Earnhardt. Mark never led by more than 94 points during that 15-race stretch, as Dale Earnhardt and the Richard Childress team kept the pressure on. Finally, at Phoenix, in the next-to-last race of the season, the teams were set for a shootout. Martin lost his points lead while fighting an ill-handling car all day. He wound up in 10th position. Earnhardt, meanwhile, battled with the previous year's Winston Cup champion, Rusty Wallace, but Dale was able to pass Rusty and lead the final 262 laps for his 9th win of the 1990 season. Although the Jack Roush team tried desperately to correct Martin's handling problem, it just wasn't to be. On the other hand, the Childress crew had their wishes granted as Dale took the checkered flag for the first time ever at the Phoenix Oval. The victory meant that Dale had won on every oval that the Winston Cup Series competes on. With only a 6-point lead, Earnhardt and Martin each held the possibility of a Winston Cup championship in their hands as they headed for the season finale at Atlanta. Earnhardt had dominated in previous races at Atlanta, while Martin and the Jack Roush team had struggled there. With Rusty Wallace on pole position, Dale Earnhardt began the event from 6th place and Mark Martin from 9th. Martin was using a car purchased only a week earlier from the Davey Allison Robert Yates team. And Mark was never able to mount a solid charge to the front. But Earnhardt was able to move to the front, passing the number 15 car of Morgan Shepherd. and eventually getting by the number 4 car driven by Ernie Irvan. Martin experienced a series of problems as he saw his hopes for his first Winston Cup championship fade away. Morgan Shepherd took his first win of the season, but Earnhardt's third-place finish provided him with a 26-point margin in the final series standings. For Dale, the championship meant $1 million bonus. When added to his other earnings in 1990, it put him over the $3 million mark for the season, the richest season in auto racing history. As we look back on the 1990 season, it's easy to see why the NASCAR Winston Cup Series is the most popular form of motorsports competition in America. With this season's mixture of close competition, record payoffs, and interesting new winners, the 1990 season will be remembered for a long time. It's been great to review the season with you with ESPN's Thunder and Thrills for 1990. We'll see you at the races.
Well, there it is, 1990 racing excitement. The makers of Alka-Seltzer and I hope you enjoyed the video. We sincerely appreciate all your support, and we'll see you at the racetrack in 1991.